on the Lobo Sports Network. Lobo Basketball has been brought to you by New Mexico State Parks Boating and Safety. Be safe on the water. Lobos wear life jackets. PNM. Talk to us at pnm.com. Also brought to you by Route 66 Casino Hotel. Quality service and value. Get your kicks. This is the Lobo Postgame Show. Once again, Robert Portnoy.
Welcome back inside Clune Arena on the Lobo Basketball Postgame Show. With the final score tonight, Air Force Falcons 100, New Mexico Lobos 92. Let's pause briefly 10 seconds for station ID on the Lobo Radio Network. Go RV is a proud partner of Coaches vs. Cancer and the 3-Point Challenge. Visit 3pointchallenge.org today. Make your pledge for every three-pointer your school makes during this year's Coaches vs. Cancer 3-Point Challenge. First time out on the Lobo Basketball Postgame Show. New Mexico Falls at Air Force. Falcons 100. Lobos 92. Lobo Basketball from Learfield. Back on the Lobo Basketball Postgame Show. Live inside Clune Arena at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Final score, Falcons 100 and New Mexico 92. The Lobos tonight with one Everguard Solar and Everguard Roofing Slam Dunk. That's $10 to All Face. All Face serves over 2,500 kids and their families every year by teaching them how to prevent abuse and guiding them as they recover from it. Help us give children back their childhood. Learn more by visiting allface.org. All right, it is time for our State Farm Insurance Assist of the game. When teammates help each other out, great plays happen like this. Backdoor lob to Simons off the inbound, and he scores. A beautiful feed from Antono Jackson. How pretty was that? Nice. Off the side, out of bounds.
Hey, that's a timing play between Jackson and Simons.
Yeah, beautiful. And just a terrific feed by Antono Jackson right there for the lob lay-in by Troy Simons. Your State Farm Insurance Assist of the game, presented by State Farm. Get an agent that gets you. We pause on the Lobo Basketball Postgame Show. Back after this timeout. Lobo Basketball from Learfield. Back inside Clune Arena at the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. It's the Lobo Basketball Postgame Show. Final score tonight, Air Force 100, New Mexico 92. Bank of the West continues its commitment as the Lobo 3-Point Basket sponsor. After every game, they donate to Special Olympics of New Mexico. For more than 20 years, Bank of the West has contributed over $100,000 to Special Olympics of New Mexico as part of its proud commitment to Lobo athletics. Time for us to take a timeout. When we come back, plenty to do. PNM Reliable Player of the Game, Subway Sub of the Game, post-game coaches' comments with head coach Paul Weir. Lobos fall at Air Force 192. It's Lobo Basketball from Learfield. Welcome back into the Lobo Basketball postgame show at Clune Arena in Colorado Springs. The Lobos fall to the Air Force Falcons by a final count of 100-92. It is time to select our PNM Reliable Player of the Game, and there is no question who it was tonight, Hunter. He came out absolutely on fire. Who's your pick?
Yeah, Malawach.
Yeah, McQuatch was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was. And, I mean, I thought he was just unstoppable inside, and it seemed like Air Force made adjustments, slowed him down, but he was inside, outside, just too quick for the Air Force Falcons.
He was definitely, tonight, the Lobos PNM Reliable Player of the Game. It was a career night for McQuatch Malawach. New Mexico's game changer at Air Force, none other than Lobo power forward / small forward, McQuatch Malawach. Hesitation dribble by Ant, driving a kick out. McQuatch for a straight on three. You bet! McQuatch with 21, 5 for 5 from long range. How about that creation by Antono Jackson? Yeah, and beautiful three ball from McQuatch, who finished 10 of 14 floor, 6 of 7 from long range, 5 rebounds, an assist, 3 steals in 38 minutes. McQuatch Malawach, your PNM Reliable Player of the Game. PNM delivers reliable energy to you 24/7. Committed community partners, PNM, adding cleaner resources, including more solar and wind energy, working to build a strong, sustainable energy future for New Mexico. Talk to us at pnm.com. where you can manage your account and learn how to save money on your electric bill. Your PNM Reliable Player of the Game, Lobo, true freshman, McQuatch Malawach. We take time out at Clune Arena. Back after this, Lobos fall to Air Force 100-92. This is Lobo basketball from Learfield. Back on the Lobo basketball post-game show from Clune Arena at the Air Force Academy in frigid, snowy Colorado Springs, Colorado. Might be chilly outside, Hunter Green, but man, this place was on fire tonight. Can't imagine too many recent scores looking quite like this, 100-92, as the New Mexico Lobos fall to Air Force here. This is a performance for Air Force that is so out of character for them. It's a head scratcher, but you made the point. Air Force, they beat the Lobos at the Lobos game tonight.
Yeah, they beat New Mexico at their own game. I mean, it's being able to run up and down and play that style of basketball when they typically like to be in a half-court situation. They were able to get up and down, especially after on the back end of that press. After breaking the press, attacking the rim, they didn't just pull it out. They attacked, and that's where New Mexico had a hard time defending them.
Especially there, midpoint of the second half, the Lobos got behind. They extended their pressure even further, running at shooters, and it was just like a layup line there for a little bit there.
Yeah, even in the half-court set, as you mentioned, New Mexico would close out, and Air Force would just dribble drive right by them and get to the rim. And that's where you miss Joe Furstinger. I mean, we could put it out there. He's your rim protector, and he was not there.
No question. The top shot blocker.
Yes.
Hunter, time to select our Subway Sub of the Game. It's brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Subway Restaurants keep you going on and off the court. Stop in today. Who do you like for your Subway Sub of the Game tonight, Hunter?
I thought Mathis, I mean, he came off the bench. He gave a little energy. He shot the ball well from the three. And, of course, at one stretch in the second half, he hit like 5 or 6 free throws in a row. And,
yes.
And that was – and so I thought I liked his play off the bench. Anthony Mathis.
Anthony Mathis is our Subway Sub of the Game, brought to you by Subway Restaurants. They keep you going on and off the court. Stop in today. Subway, eat fresh. The final numbers on Tone tonight. Anthony Mathis still has scored in double figures in every single Lobo conference game this season. Mathis, 15 points in 18 minutes tonight, and he did it playing with foul trouble the entire night, Hunter.
Yeah.
Mathis was 3 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from the 3, 7 of 8 from the line. He had 1 rebound, turned it over just twice, had 1 steal, and he got the 2 quick fouls in the first half, had to sit. And then he got his 4th foul there in rapid succession. Numbers 3 and 4 came early in the second half. 4 personals at the 16.5-minute mark. And he was still able to help New Mexico stay in it down the stretch. And it looked like when he was doing that thing at the line there, he made 5 of 6 at the foul line over an 8-second span, that the Lobos might find their way back into the game and back to victory, but it wasn't meant to be. Air Force was too tough down the stretch.
They were. I mean, and the rhythm of the game kind of got away from New Mexico, especially as a lot of the personal fouls were called. I mean, there were a lot of personal fouls called this game, 53 personal fouls total. And they weren't just calling them against the Lobos, they called them against Air Force. In fact, they called 27 personal fouls against Air Force to the New Mexico's 26.
This game was dominated by whistles, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, it took away, I thought, New Mexico's rhythm, especially in the beginning of the second half.
All right, we're going to step aside on your Lobo basketball post-game show. We come to you from Clune Arena at the Air Force Academy. The Lobos have fallen by a 100-92 count. We can tell you New Mexico was led in scoring by McQuatch Malawach's 26. In the end, the Lobos had 6 in double figures. Mathis scored 14. Mathis with 15, Logwood with 14, 11 for Simons, 10 for both McNeil and Jackson, 4 for Kuiper, and 2 for Simmons. Air Force was led by 17 from Swan. They got 16 from Lyons, 15 from Scotty, 14 from Morris, and 10 from Tomes as well. 9 from Seipel, 7 from Vance, 6 apiece from Manning and Van Solen. Lobos fall 100-92 at Air Force. We step aside. We come back. Our postgame coach's comments with Lobo head coach Paul Weir still to come. 100-92, Air Force defeats New Mexico. This is Lobo basketball from Learfield. We're back for a final time on the Lobo basketball postgame show from Clune Arena at the United States Air Force Academy. The Lobos have fallen to Air Force 100-92. It is time for our postgame coach's comments with Lobo head coach Paul Weir. Coach Weir, the first half, certainly the pace you wanted. You take a halftime lead, and it looks like you've got this game in terms of the tempo exactly where you'd like. Air Force was able to play at that tempo and somehow come back and win this one in the second half. What are your thoughts about what transpired over the final 20 minutes?
I told our team at halftime I didn't think we had a very good first half at all. We made some shots. I thought it made us feel good, but I thought our defense was really poor. Just our energy on the ball wasn't where it was, particularly when you compare it to Game 1. When we played these guys in Game 1, we watched the film here this morning even, and we were really good. We were just active and energetic and all that, and we just didn't have that tonight. And that's on me as a coach, and we have to find a way to get it back, whether it's just the Boise game, and just kind of some leftovers from that I haven't done a good enough job of getting us to move on from, or just a lot of new bodies. Whatever it is, it wasn't there tonight. You have to tip your cap to Air Force. I thought they played their hearts out tonight. They were tremendous. That's usually the team I want to be, but they did it against us tonight. And it's humbling, and we just have to get back to the drawing board.
Yeah, you talked about the first half, Coach. I think you gave up 46 points in the first half, and a lot of them were at the free throw line. I thought that's how Air Force was able to stay in the game. We talked about that on the air, and it seemed like they made adjustments in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to shut down the ball penetration where you guys were able to get the ball into Malawatch or to Sam Logwood, and that seemed to work for them.
Yeah, no question. I think, second half, I thought we had a lot of good looks early in the second half. Missed a layup, missed a couple open threes, they got on a run, and then at that point they were just kind of flowing from there. And it's unfortunate when you get really good looks like that just don't go down. But I thought we had some good ones, man. I really do. We always can't control whether they go in or not, but I thought we had some good ones. And then unfortunately it affected our defense at the other end, and that was disappointing. That was kind of a little bit what happened down the stretch against Boise as well. This is just kind of new territory. Like I told the guys, I thought, we fought really hard against San Diego State. Even when we were down, we were very connected and felt like we were going to win. I felt the same thing when we were at UNLV. I thought we were connected. I thought we were going to win. And for whatever reason, at the 9-second timeout of the Boise game, I didn't feel that. That was the first time this year I was like, uh-oh, like what's going on here? And unfortunately, we just haven't been able to shake that. And that's my job. I've got to get it back. I've got to get our mojo, our spirit here back to the winning ways. And that's really all I can say.
17 turnovers. They actually turned you over more than you turned them over.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Yeah, because I thought their energy was terrific. I thought they just played really hard. And, our offensive kind of inefficiencies at times just went back and affected us at the defensive end, and we just didn't do the things that we really did against them last time. It was really frustrating, and we have to fix it. We've got to get our spirit back.
Do you think it was fatigue defensively? Because I felt like as they beat the press, they were scoring on the back end of the press.
Yeah.
And you continue to do that. You continue to press. And then also in the half-court set, guys were coming out to close out on the threes, but they were getting beat off the dribble to the rim. And, of course, then that got into foul trouble as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I just don't think our energy level at that end of the floor was great. If it was fatigue or whatever else that may be, maybe. But, we have a bunch of guys. I mean, McQuatch obviously played a lot of minutes, but, none of those other guys played a lot, if there's a mental kind of hangover from Boise, maybe. But we just, regardless of whether we are or not, we just have to play harder, and we just didn't play hard enough to win tonight.
How much do you feel you missed Joe Furstinger tonight?
I think, plus minus from the first time we played them, Joe was our highest plus minus and Vlad was our lowest. So I was a little nervous of that just because, not even necessarily that there's a difference between the two, but just Air Force, such a different style of play, such a different kind of team. Joe's seen them for 3.5 years. I mean, he has an experience with it. Poor Vlad doesn't know what's going on out there. He's been out for a week and a half and now trying to get caught up with there. So I was a little worried of just that swap out. Could Joe have helped? Of course he could have, but that wasn't the difference in the game tonight. I thought the difference was just our overall energy level, and maybe Joe could have helped that, but I don't think technically that was the difference. We didn't play hard enough to win. That's just the reality. We didn't earn the right to win tonight.
Coach, there were a lot of personal fouls, 53 personal fouls between the two teams. You think that had a lot to do with just the rhythm?
It did. It made it a very unusual game, particularly at the start of both halves. I thought the start of the game, I think we had 6 fouls in the first 5 minutes, and we had 6 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the second half. It just kind of gave it a much different style. I don't think that was the difference. I don't think because they called all those fouls we lost. It's not an officiating thing.
They actually called more against.
It just made it a just very unusual game.
Rhythm.
And I guess to Air Force's credit, it worked in their favor a little bit more than it did ours.
You guys did out-rebound them in the first half, but in the second they out-rebounded you 22-8. Did that come down to just the energy and the effort that you felt like that they brought really from the start?
Well, I mean, they scored every possession, so there wasn't a lot of rebounds for us to get. Our defense was awful, so unfortunately there weren't any misses for us to rebound. And at the other end, we just couldn't score very well. So they ended up kind of swinging the rebounding margin that way. I think that's more a reflection of how hard Air Force played and how kind of soft we played.
All right, Coach Weir, I know getting back tonight and getting ready for a Valentine's Day matchup at home with Utah State and an opportunity in Dreamstyle Arena. Nice to be getting back home.
For sure, we got to get this thing turned around here. It's been a really, really tough stretch, and there's only 5 left, so we got to go give it what we can.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Weir.
Thank you.
Lobo head coach Paul Weir, post-game coach's comments here at Clune Arena in Colorado Springs. Air Force 100 and New Mexico 92 is the final. I mentioned the Lobos will play on Valentine's Day coming up next week. It's a Wednesday. It'll be Utah State in Albuquerque at Dreamstyle Arena. The Pit is a 7 o'clock tip-off scheduled for you. Airtime 6:30 with the Bank of the West pregame show for that one. Hunter, you told me during the break that you didn't see this coming, and especially the way that New Mexico started tonight in terms of getting to a double-digit lead quickly there in the first half, led by as many as 11. You thought that New Mexico would win this contest, but it wasn't so. Where did it flip today?
Well, I thought Air Force made adjustments, and that was on the defensive end. When they went into that zone, kind of a matchup zone, and then into a man-to-man, I thought they closed down the inside action with Malawach and of course, Logwood. And then just beating the Lobos on the back end of that press. At times I thought New Mexico probably should have pulled back and not pressed as much, especially after they got beat so many times on the back end of it. And that's where I thought maybe fatigue was. Coach didn't think it was fatigue. He just thought it was effort. And I thought that was the difference, especially in the second half.
Well, Air Force picks up its 4th win in Mountain West Conference play. They're 4-7 in league, and they improved to 10-13 overall. New Mexico now has dropped consecutive games, and they dipped to 12-14 overall. Now 7-6 in conference, and you start to get on the fringe now where you could drop out of the top 500.
That's right.
And I know one of the things you've talked about with the way the Lobos play and the intensity, the effort that they expend, that you'd much rather have to win 3 in a row next month in Vegas than 4 in a row. Got to stay out of that play-in day, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, especially the style of play that the New Mexico Lobos play, because could you imagine playing tomorrow night this style of play? I question the fatigue factor here today. But no, no question, you don't want to be in that play-in game and have to do 4.
And I, in our pregame show, talked with Coach Weir and questioned, do you think that the way we play sometimes gets us stagnant on offense? That because of the commitment to defense and the pressure that they apply, that it's easier certainly to stand on offense and sometimes ball watch, and that's something that Coach Weir talked about at the end of the Boise State game. Yeah. Could there be a fatigue factor down the stretch of games?
Well, I think when the team loses, we try to find all the –
yes.
But I tell you, and sometimes I think it's the rhythm offensively, the flow, the substitutions. I mean, you've got guys coming in and out, and, Pinchuk's been out, and all of a sudden he's in, and it's just the flow. And I think he's talked about this. Jackson and Logwood coming back into the lineup kind of created some stagnation here with the offense because guys haven't really been playing with them, and I think that's part of it.
Antonio Jackson, when it was said and done tonight, despite a frustrating night for Ant, he did finish with his second career Lobo double-double with 10 points and 10 assists, and a lot of those coming late as New Mexico was frantically trying to get back in it. Right. Ant was driving and kicking, and creating for his teammates. If you'd have told me that the Lobos would shoot in this game overall 52% from three, and 14 out of 27 for the game, make 14 threes, 3 over their average in conference play, and shoot 52% and lose, I'd have said no way.
I know.
That's amazing. Yeah.
No, they shot the ball well. They didn't guard.
Right. 59% floor for Air Force. Air Force was just 5 of 18 from 3, and they still won, by 8 because they shot 59% from the floor and 23 of 26 from the foul line, 89%.
Yeah. I mean, you score 23 points from the free throw line. I mean, that's a lot of buckets right there. So, yeah, it came down to defense. I mean, both teams were on fire offensively.
Lobos 50% field, 52% 3, and 79% line. The Lobos were 22 of 28 from the foul line. Rebounding advantage ended up Air Force's way, 34-24. Coach Ware pointed out Air Force just shot the eyes out of it in the second half, so New Mexico didn't have too many defensive rebounds to go get. But the Lobos did have an offensive rebounding advantage in the first half, Hunter, of 4-3. That category ended up 9-6 Air Force, and that's energy, that's commitment.
Yep.
And this is not a big team. The Lobos keeping Air Force off the glass, you can't attribute it to 6'11" guys down there.
No, that's right.
This is one of the smaller teams in the league.
That's effort. Those long threes being missed.
True. There are those, for sure. Those long rebounds, sometimes those are just the bounce of the ball.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Hunter, we're going to see you next week for Valentine's Day. Utah State comes to Albuquerque, Lobos, and Utah State from Dreamstyle Arena to the Pit. And we'll have that one for you, of course, live right here across the 19-station Lobo Radio Network. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks, partner.
For my broadcast producer and engineer tonight, Malik Taylor, and my broadcast partner, Lobo legend Hunter Green, I'm Robert Portnoy. Remember, the Overtime College Show coming up on the Lobos flagship station in Albuquerque, 94.5 FM and AM 770 News Radio KKOB with J.J. Buck taking your phone calls live. That's going to do it for us for now. And your final score for the final time from Clune Arena in Colorado Springs. The Lobos fall to the Falcons. Air Force 100, New Mexico 92. Good night, everybody. You've been listening to Lobo Basketball from Learfield.